What's up, y'all? Back again today with a very special video. So today we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to label this video, White People Say the Darndest Things. Now, before you get upset or laugh at the title, just hear me out real quick. Many times, white people, and when I say white people, of course we know what we're talking about. We're talking about what? White people, right? So-called. In America.
Europeans, Caucasians.
White people. Many times, white people may do certain things that they may or may not understand the depth of their actions. They might not understand why there are certain consequences that happen when they do certain things. What I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to play a bunch of videos, and then I'm going to give my perspective on each video. And what it is white people, quote unquote, saying or doing something that I find particularly interesting in regards to race relations in America with black people. So basically what we're doing is we're watching these videos and we're seeing how these people react and how society at large reacts to similar circumstances. Let's get straight to it.
That, but you called me a fucking nigger. I need
to stay here. My mother died.
I understand that, but you called me a fucking nigger. No,
I'm sorry.
You weren't sorry when you said it on the phone.
Listen, there was
no,
people screaming
but at the end of the day, and the climate that we live in today, society.
I was sorry.
I understand that, but it's above me now.
I need a room tonight.
Well, there's the Best Western next door.
No, please let me hear. My daughter's here.
I'm sorry, but I mean, I was on the phone when you said it.
I said I'm sorry. Please, I've had a horrible day.
And I had a horrible time when hearing that.
He won't let me in.
It's above me. She called me a fucking nigger.
Sir, my grandma just died.
I understand that, but it's above me.
Please let me.
It's above me. Sorry.
I got my
the Best
card.
Western is next door.
Sir, the rest of our family
I understand that, but it's above me.
Please. I apologize.
She said what she said.
Okay, so the first thing I want you to notice about that video is that yes, we're at a hotel in this scenario in which a black hotel clerk is talking to what we assume to be a white, older female lady, an American. And as you see in the film, basically, she had called him a fucking nigger, quote unquote, over the phone before she arrived to the hotel. Then when she arrived at the hotel, she proceeded to still try to get a room. But as you know, many businesses reserve the right to refuse service for a number of reasons. So this gentleman took it upon himself to refuse service for being insulted like that. He didn't want any hateful or potentially aggressive or violent guests staying at his hotel. That is understandable. But the funny and the interesting part about this video, and that's why this video is on this segment of White People Say the Darndest Things, is that what the suspect in question and their relatives said is what I made this video for, okay? So let's look at some of the things they said. So when the gentleman says, "You called me a fucking nigger," she immediately says, "Okay, I'm sorry. And then she goes into give reasons why she called this gentleman a fucking nigger. And if you watch the video again, you'll agree that, see, these are some of the reasons that she gave for calling this gentleman a quote-unquote fucking nigger. She says there were people screaming in the car at the time. She also said her mother had just recently died. She also said she's had a horrible day. As if all of these were reasons to call someone a fucking nigger. What made it even worse is that when the woman's daughter came and tried to intercede in what was going on, you could see the black guy say, "Hey, she called me a fucking nigger."
I mean, she called me a fucking nigger.
He tells her daughter that. He says, "Hey, your mother called me a fucking nigger." And instead of the daughter saying, "Oh, mom, why would you do that?" or instead of trying to reprimand the mom or trying to apologize for the situation at whole, the first thing the daughter does is what? She says, "Sir, my grandmother just died."
I mean, she called me a fucking nigger.
Sir, my grandma just died.
I understand that.
So again, this is why I'm making this video, and this particular video is in my compilation, because it's not so much so of the word nigger, it's the fact that you're using it aggressively, obviously, you're using it in a derogatory sense, obviously, and then when confronted about it, not only you but your family tries to justify that by saying, "Well, we've had a rough day," or "We just had a family member die." So this is, again, why they say the darndest things. I do want to commend the brother, though, before I move forward. I want to commend the brother, whoever that is. I don't know your name, brother, but if you're watching this, I want to commend you for your professionalism. I want to commend you for your slight passive aggressiveness and your sarcasm, because as you know, as anybody knows, when you get fired or maybe you might be denied something, a lot of times they'll hit you with the,
Oh, unfortunately, we can't do that.
I'm sorry. They'll hit you with that just to be professional. So I applaud the brother for not reacting negatively, because very easily that situation could have looked bad on him. But if he reacted negatively and said, oh, you called me a nigger, and he started cursing or offending her or insulting her, he kept it very professional. He understood his position. He understood he did nothing wrong, but he did understand also that he had every single right to stand up for himself and refuse her service. So with that being said, I commend you, brother. Let's go on to the next clip.
So your boss is running with, what's your name? Mo? What the fuck kind of name is that? What is your actual real name? Mo what? Fucking Arab. Goddamn fucking Arabs.
Alright, you know what?
You know what? I really don't give a fuck what some bitch has to say. I really don't give a shit about some goddamn Arab that I've been killing their goddamn kind for fucking 6 months. I really don't give a shit about some goddamn Arab that I've been killing their goddamn kind for fucking 6 months.
Okay.
Almost two, actually,
Super nice.
2 years. 6 months on the last country I was in.
Okay.
Because people like this are the reason our country's going what it's going to. Because I've been killing his kind. For longer than you've probably been alive.
I'm older than you, dude.
How old do you think you are? How old do you think I am?
How old do I think I am? I'm 55 years old.
That's cute.
Okay.
His kind, I've been killing for almost 20 years. I've been on 5 different continents.
This one's a doozy. So it's a double whammy, because we get to talk about racism and patriotism, quote unquote, in the United States. So if you look at this video, basically the gentleman, if we'll call him that today, was in an AT&T store, okay? He was talking to an employee of the AT&T store who was a quote unquote Arab man. His name is Mohammed, and he calls himself Mo for short. So if you didn't understand the beginning of the video, basically it starts off with an altercation. This quote unquote white man is talking to a quote unquote Arab man, and then when the Arab man tells him his name is Mohammed, the quote unquote white man goes off on a tangent and says, goddamn fucking Arabs, quote unquote.
Goddamn fucking Arabs.
To where the lady who was filming him, voices her discontent with his language. And then that's where the gentleman, as we're calling him today, actually just goes off and says that, quote unquote, I've been killing their kind for 6 months. And as he quoted earlier, he was speaking about Arab people, which again, we get to dabble real quick into this quote unquote patriot idea, where we are taught to believe that everyone who serves in the military or in the army or in the Navy, in the Air Force, these type of things, everyone who served for this country, quote unquote, we are made to believe that they are heroes, and that they are inevitably doing the right thing regardless, and that they somehow have this moral high ground, in which I challenge that ideology, because not only has that been proven to be untrue in many cases, but we have to remember overall here that we are dealing with human beings, so no man is above reproach. That involves the average gangbanger all the way up to the military personnel and the police. Everyone has to be held accountable for their personal actions. But this gentleman says he's been killing Arabs, quote unquote, for the last 6 months. And then he corrects himself for saying, actually, no, I've been doing it for the past 2 consecutive years. And then in the later part of the video, he actually admits that he's been killing this kind for 20 years. So he's probably been promoted with the ideology that it's okay and it's just and it's righteous, and you're somehow saving people by killing quote unquote Arabs. Now remember, we're not talking about quote unquote radical Islamic terrorists, and we're not talking about a particular negative or violent ideology that he's fighting against. He said he's been killing Arab people, period, for 20 years. You don't see anything wrong with that? And then so when people like Colin Kaepernick or anybody else says, no, I don't necessarily feel like fighting for this country, I don't feel like necessarily standing for this flag. Then you tell me, oh, these people have been fighting. No. A lot of them, like they say or in this video, have been just killing people, period. Just on the basis of them being Arab or them being black or them being whoever. So that's what we got to think about. And then the last thing I wanted to state about this video real quick before we move to the next one is he says, quote unquote, people like this, Mohammed, the Arab, are the reason our country is going to what it's going to. Which reminded me of the great phrase by the great gentleman Donald Trump, in which he says he wants to make America great again. He wants to make it great again because, as you see, they feel that our country is in a dilapidated state due to certain people like Arabs, due to certain people like that. I don't know, but again, let's move on to the next video.
Without the Holocaust, what would the world be like?
We would have white people still. All of the niggers would not be here.
Jews would run the world without the Holocaust.
Fuck niggers, fuck Jews.
Jews are fine
If the
because they're
Holocaust
white.
never happened, Jews would be running the world right now.
It's fine. We just need niggers gone. So
Think about
mix
that.
Oreos.
Think about that.
What are you gonna do with them?
Awesome. You stick them in concentration
No,
camps
you
and
have
fucking
to. No, you have to
barb 'em.
wait till they die off.
It's charging.
No, we run niggers because they do football for us and rap music, and we pay them for that.
No, they do nothing. You want to know what the fucking Democrat and like whole Republican?
How about we just kick out all the
Republicans
Democrats
are
and we go on
niggers
strike?
that want to
still
take white
videoing it?
people's money who don't.
Now, really, what can we say about this one? I mean, here's a classic case of a bunch of racist kids getting together and speaking their racist minds. Now, we have to note, though, these kids look like the average American kids, quote unquote. What is it about them? Is there anything on their clothes? Is there anything on their face? Is there anything that you can tell right off the bat that this is their ideology? In other words, how do you know that these same kids aren't just sitting next to you in class? How do you know that these same kids are not making your food at the restaurant? How do you know that these same kids will not grow up and then become teachers, doctors, lawyers, people in the judiciary system? These are the prime people that we need to try to mold and to try to get them to understand that their ideology is flawed. See, by the time you're 75 years old and you just hate these fucking niggers, it's way too late for you. I mean, I'm not saying it's too late. An old dog can't do new tricks. I'm just saying, for the most part, we want to tackle the youth. So these kids look to be maybe 16, 17 years old, and they're getting together, and what are they saying? Let's go down the line of some of the things that these kids said amongst themselves, because we know that they would never say these things in public, but then we also hear that racism is dead and people aren't racist anymore, get over it. But we have to remember, these kids not only were taught this ideology by someone, but then they're going to teach this ideology and live out this white supremacy, quote unquote, ideology in the future. They're probably going to be in high ranking positions because their parents, who are racist as well, are also in high ranking positions. And we know what nepotism is. Nepotism is, if I own a business, regardless of how I got the business, if I own the business, I can give it to my son and nobody can tell me I can't. From the time he's 7 years old, I can teach my son how to run this business to where he's 20 years old. He didn't need a college education. He just takes over the business. So now we have racist people who have founded this country, have been passing down through nepotism their earnings, their ill-gotten gains to their children. And now 2019, we have these same racist children who are preppy, going to Ivy League schools, talking about these things in the living room. Let's go down the lines of the quote, the things they said. In no particular order, they said some things of this nature. They said, what should we do with Oreos?
Mix Oreos?
Oreos, if you don't know, is a colloquial term for saying a mixed person, a person that's black and white, an Oreo, a black on the outside or white on the inside. And actually, that's not correct. An Oreo actually refers to a black person who acts white. So they said, what should we do with Oreos? People who want to, quote unquote, fit in our society and act like they're white, but they're still obviously black. One of the girls suggests that we just let them, quote unquote, die off.
You have to wait till they die off.
Another guest says, fuck niggers and fuck Jews.
Fuck niggers,
they
fuck
said,
Jews.
We need niggers gone.
We just need niggers gone.
One of the girls also said, we run niggers. because they do football for us and rap music, and we pay them for that.
We run niggers because they do football for us and rap music, and we pay them for that.
To which another girl says, oh, no, the Jews are fine, because they were saying fuck niggers and fuck Jews. She says, no, the Jews are fine because they are white. We just need niggers gone.
Jews are fine because they're white.
To where the guy says, well, we should just stick them in fucking concentration camps. Now remember, these are conversations that happen in 2019 in the living room, away from the public eye, away from the political correctness of the streets, because they know that ramifications are going to come if they say these type of things around black people. So they've been taught to tolerate black people for the time being, but they've never gotten rid of their racist ideology. So this is why we have to not only expose these people, but have discussions about the rhetoric in general. So let's go to the next video.
You stick them in concentration camps.
You have to wait till they die.
It was never a racial issue, ever. First of all, I didn't even know who was the one doing the shouting. I couldn't see. All I could hear was the shouting. I had no idea who it was. How could it have been race related? How could it have been race related? I had no idea who it was.
How could it have been race related?
Says the backlash from this video has been painful.
I have gotten so much hate mail. I am getting continuously text messages with all kinds of threats. Horrible images and death threats.
I don't need people to go into his cell and attack him. The next time this could happen, they could kill him. I cannot bury my husband.
Y'all gotta stop that shit. When you know you're wrong, stop acting like you didn't do nothing wrong and trying to, you know, be a victim, victimize yourself and start crying and trying to gain the sympathy of the police who are by or the passersby when you know you were the instigator of the altercation that you're going through. So many times I hear online that one term that they call black people is didn't do. I don't know if you know about this, but type it up, D-I-N-D-U. It's short for didn't do nothing. What's that mean? That means some white people have come up with this term to say that black people never take accountability for their actions. That's a whole nother story, but they call us didn't do's, as in, I didn't do nothing. Me, I didn't do nothing. And, you know, hey, that may or may not be true in many regards. But let's talk about the white, quote unquote, didn't do nothings. The white women particularly, and white men in many times, who use tears and who use public sympathy and who use their actual image of the white image of being holier than thou and being without blemish. They use that knowledge, they trick your psychology, manipulate events to where when things don't go their way, even when they're wrong, they start crying and they going about do different kind of ways to make the black person look like the aggressor. Don't do that anymore. Anyway, on to the next one.
Oh, you stand over here. We get a little nigger friend.
Hey, bro, hey, watch what you're saying now.
Let me call him a nigger one more time, motherfucker.
Ooh, watch what you're saying now.
Let me call him a nigger one more time, motherfucker.
Watch what you're saying now. Let me call him a nigga one more time, motherfucker.
World star, motherfucker. Oh shit, and this, my friends, is the final video of the day. Now, there's an important theme that I want you to notice on this particular video. This young man was confronted with a racist remark directed at his friend by his stepdad. And in no way shape or form am I condoning violence by supporting this particular action, but in this regard, I wanted to show one, although rather extreme example. It is an example of how to combat racism within the family dynamic, and I've talked about this before in many videos, particularly one video I have called Asking White People About Racism in America. That video got almost 50,000 views and counting. But in that video, I asked random white people what they thought about racism, and they gave different remarks, but there was a common theme among the remarks. You can go watch the video, but the common theme was that they said, no, I'm not racist, but my family is racist. My grandmother, my grandfather, my dad, my uncle, my older brother is racist. To which I asked them, well, what do you do when confronted by certain ideologies that may or may not be racist? When you're at the dinner table, at the Thanksgiving table, and your grandpa says, oh, these niggers, or whatever, these Arabs, or whatever they may say, what do you do as a person who claims you're not racist when you see a family member or a close friend or relative who says something about black people? What do you do? Now, I'm not asking you to knock them out. But are you willing to lose their friendship? Are you willing to lose their good standing? Are you willing to possibly fall out with them as a friend or a relative altogether and not speak with them because they did something that was hateful? Because at the end of the day, it's a racist act. It's just a hateful act. It's a vengeful, violent, aggressive act for no reason. So are you willing to lose the friendship and support of these close associates because you fell out with them? Or are you going to allow them to say the same thing? Well, with all that being said, you tell me, how can we fix this problem? And again, by the title of this video, no way, shape, or form did I mean to disrespect you as a white person, but you got to admit, y'all got to do better. So until next time, I need you to please vibrate higher.